If you notice these signs, know that your past karma is being liberated. Have you ever felt as though something deep within you is beginning to dissolve, not your body, not even your ordinary mind, but a deeper, older layer, like a karmic residue being cleansed from the roots of your soul? When this happens, most people don't realize it. They think they're falling apart. They believe life is punishing them. But the truth is far more mysterious. You might be in one of those rare moments when knots tied over countless lifetimes in your karmic storehouse begin to rise to the surface, only to unravel on their own. Karma is not punishment. It is a natural cycle of energy you yourself created in the past. And when past karma nears its dissolution, the universe always sends you signs, clear signs. Yet no one ever taught you how to recognize them. If you lack mindfulness, you'll misread them, feel fear, or try to escape. But if you are sufficiently awake, you will know. This is the moment when old karma is nearing its end, and you are standing at the threshold of something completely new. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, have you recently felt estranged from what once felt familiar in your life? Friends you once trusted now seem distant. Projects you poured your heart into no longer inspire you. It feels like you're being pushed out of everything you once belonged to. But this is not failure. You're not losing anything. The outdated energies no longer aligned with your spiritual path are naturally falling away. This is the impermanence that the Buddha spoke of. All conditioned phenomena are impermanent, are suffering, are non-self, and in this dissolution, a miracle begins to unfold. The old karmic loops, the cycles from previous lives, from the invisible stream of consciousness, start to cease. But this moment isn't comfortable. It's like climbing a mountain and gasping for air at high altitude. You feel disoriented, even breathless, but don't be afraid, because being pushed out of the familiar means the old karmic energies are being severed. Like pulling weeds out by their roots. The soil is bare at first, but it is also ready for new seeds. Another lesser known but powerful sign that old karma is dissolving is a deep fatigue with no clear cause. It's not the tiredness from a long day of work, but a profound exhaustion that seems to come from the depths of your being. Your body may appear healthy, but your spirit feels drained. You lose motivation, you feel aimless, you may even ask, why am I still here? And yet, strangely, amidst this darkness, a quiet part of you watches, silently, patiently, and knows that this is not the end. That part is your spiritual self maturing. What Buddhism calls right view, the capacity to see reality as it is. You are not falling apart. You are undergoing a deep spiritual detox. This fatigue is the final burn of old karmic fuel passing through your body and mind, like a last blaze before the ashes return to nourish the earth. During this time, you may develop an aversion to artificial energies around you. Superficial conversations, empty social interactions, and shallow distractions start to feel unbearable. You may feel irritated, even pained, by things that once entertained you. Others won't understand. They might think you've become distant or antisocial, or worse, mentally unwell. But in truth, you are awakening. You are emerging from the collective illusion. As the Dhammapada says, the fool sleeps as if already dead, but the wise one is awake and watches like a guardian in the night. As your inner vibration changes, your old karmic environment no longer resonates. This is a potent sign that you're entering a higher spiritual cycle, where peace no longer comes from the external world, but from the depths of your awareness. Then, suddenly, you may notice, you no longer wish to argue. Not because you're weak or lack perspective, but because it all feels meaningless. The ego is dissolving. Instead of needing to prove what is right, you remain silent. Instead of reacting to insults, you smile, not out of suppression, but clarity. You now see the nature of things. You're no longer pulled into egoic conflict. This is vital. In the 12 links of dependent origination, the Buddha taught that ignorance gives rise to karmic formations, which lead to consciousness, continuing the cycle of birth and death. When your actions no longer stem from egoic reactivity, you break the karmic chain. You begin to free yourself from the wheel of samsara. And so, old karma, deprived of fuel, begins to collapse. This is why wise silence in place of argument doesn't just solve the moment. It dissolves lifetimes of karmic threads. Sometimes, the signs come in shocking forms. You may have intense dreams, falling into bottomless pits, dying and coming back, standing before walls of fire. or being chased by dark shadows. Don't be afraid. These are not nightmares, but spiritual symbols. Your subconscious, the vault of your karmic memory, is speaking directly to your waking mind. These intense dreams arise when old karma is preparing to discharge. In meditation, practitioners often experience the sensation of dying and being reborn in the mind. This is not imagination. This is the death of the ego, the severing of outdated karmic ties. And when you awaken from such dreams, you often feel lighter, clearer, as if some weight has fallen off. In that moment, you know, karma has fallen away. During this same phase, you might begin to hear a silent call from within. Not noise, not a voice, but a strong inner pull inviting you to change course, learn meditation, return to the Dhamma, make pilgrimage, or simply retreat into stillness. This sacred calling is not fantasy. It is the final and most sacred signal. Karmic energy is dissolving, and your storehouse consciousness is opening into a new chapter. Do not ignore it. If you listen and follow, you will enter a new cycle of karma, purer, more lucid, closer to liberation. But if you ignore it and sink back into your old patterns, karma will accumulate once more, and one day, you will start over from the beginning. In such sacred moments, you may feel as though your inner world and the outer world no longer match. Not because you're falling behind, but because the world keeps spinning on its old track. While you are stepping out of it, you may stand in a crowd and feel completely alone. You hear the laughter, gossip, competition, and vanity, and feel a hollow stillness inside. You no longer wish to win, no longer wish to prove anything. Something larger than your ego is awakening. This is not coldness, it is wisdom, a clarity not born of books or intellect, but of the fading of old karmic energy. When you are no longer driven by wealth, pleasure, or fame, you begin to dissolve self-view. A crucial step in liberation the Buddha spoke of in the Majjhima Nikaya. Then something profound occurs. Those who once hurt you return to your mind, not with anger, but with compassion. You suddenly understand why they did what they did. You feel their pain, their fear, and you no longer blame them. Compassion has emerged from your deepest heart. You realize that those who caused you pain, were the exact catalysts through whom your karma was repaid. They came, fulfilled their role in your karmic drama, and left. And if you are mindful enough, you will thank them, silently. This is the phase where you begin to resolve karma not through resistance, but through the wisdom of compassion. In Vipassana meditation, this is known as Bhanga, the stage where body and mind dissolve into subtle vibrations. When compassion arises, your energetic frequency changes completely, and dense karmas cannot remain. They dissolve, lightly, like morning mist beneath the sun. This is also the time to observe closely the workings of the six sense bases: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, their objects, and the arising of consciousness. You may find that your eyes no longer crave beauty. Your ears no longer seek praise. All your senses begin to withdraw naturally, not by force, but because your inner energy has shifted. When the sense bases no longer chase their objects, you break the contact that gives rise to craving. As the Sarangama Sutra explains, it is the contact between base, object, and consciousness that generates all karmic flow. When that contact ceases, you create no new karma. And as old karma is no longer sustained, it too begins to dissolve. You are no longer merely repaying karma, you are transmuting it. Not only through action, but through mindful awareness in every moment of living. As you progress, you'll discover a shocking truth. You are no longer who you were. The values you once chased, the goals you once lived for, now seem small. You no longer live to achieve something outside yourself. You live to see the truth in each moment. You understand what the Buddha meant when he said, "Be a lamp unto yourself." You're no longer seeking the light outside, you have become the light. And as you live from this wisdom, old karma, ignorance, attachment, delusion, falls away like dry leaves, without noise or pain, leaving only stillness. But not everyone dares to take that final step. Many, upon reaching the threshold of transformation, turn back in fear. Fear of losing the familiar. Fear of shedding the ego that once protected them. They choose the suffering they know over the vast silence that lies beyond the self. But if you've read this far, and felt yourself in these words, you've already come far. You've survived the surfacing of karma, felt compassion blossom amid pain, accepted solitude as a necessary companion on the path. Now there's only one thing left: keep walking. Do not stop. Do not turn back. For if you do, you will have to begin again, perhaps in another cycle. Deeper and more difficult. But if you walk on, through the silence, the emptiness, the faint light of insight, you will enter what Buddhism calls freedom through non-attachment. Here, karma is no longer a chain, but a teaching. Life is no longer suffering, but Dhamma. Every breath, every step, every moment becomes a sacred revelation of the Dharma realm. This is the greatest test. When you've seen the light, can you release the darkness? Easy to say, but within each of us are memories, identities, pains we've clung to for lifetimes. Some sorrows have become you. Some grudges have been your fuel. As old karma dissolves completely, it may feel as though you are dying again, not physically, but as the self you've carried through so many incarnations. A death no one sees, no one applauds, no flowers, no fanfare. But this death is the most important of all, for it opens the gate to true life. At this point, you will deeply understand the Buddha's words in the Diamond Sutra. All conditioned appearances are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow. Anything with form, including ego, emotion, karma, identity, pain, is transient. Only the formless awareness remains real. When you live from this awareness, you are no longer a victim of karma, but its witness and knower. You see karma not as punishment, but as a guide. Every pain, every loss, every person who left was the wind that blew you deeper into awakening. Karma is not your enemy. It is your stern teacher, teaching not through kindness, but through truth. And when the teaching is complete, the teacher disappears. In the final days of karmic resolution, you may enter an unusual state. You no longer wish to speak. Words feel heavy, unnecessary. You begin to live in silent observation. Instead of reacting, you witness. Instead of judging, you feel. Instead of persuading, you allow. This is not avoidance. It is the final alchemy from action, karma, into stillness, samadhi. As the Agama Sutras affirm, from a still mind, wisdom arises. Only when you rest long enough, without interference or resistance, does insight arise. And with it, you'll see life as a vivid dream, beautiful, painful, joyful, but still a dream. You no longer cling, crave, or resist. You walk through this world as a silent witness, leaving no trace, collecting nothing, and carrying no memories. Everything comes like wind, and leaves like clouds, light, and real. This is the moment you truly escape the old cycle. There is no longer any sense of repaying karma, for there is no one left to repay. The self that carried karma is gone, and only in its absence can karma find nowhere to land. You no longer live from reaction, but from presence. You see that life does not need your control. All is unfolding through dependent origination, pratitya samutpada. Emptiness by nature. Everything you meet today had roots in yesterday. And if no new seeds are planted, the wheel stops. That stopping is not death, it is awakening. Then, even the smallest acts, pouring tea, walking, holding a pen, become expressions of awakening. You're no longer seeking enlightenment. Living in mindfulness is enlightenment. But there will come a day when you step out again, and the world is still the same, noisy, anxious, restless. You cannot change the world. But now, you no longer need to. Because you have changed. You are no longer a puppet of the world, but its silent witness. From this moment forward, you live with absolute lightness, no striving, no fear, no grasping. You simply know that karma comes and goes. People come and go. Life comes and goes. Only awareness remains, eternally. So if you find yourself deeply lonely, inexplicably exhausted, unable to relate to others, no longer desiring arguments, dreaming of intensity, drawn to meditation, suddenly forgiving those who hurt you, and feeling a quiet voice in your heart, know that your old karma is dissolving. Not in a day, not in a few months, but perhaps through many lifetimes. And now, the ripening has arrived. The question is, will you have the courage to step through? There is no promise of reward. No one waits on the other side. Only emptiness. But in that emptiness, you will find the one thing no one can ever take from you: freedom.